Hey, this is Alpha for Shock's video guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at some more Heart of the Swarm features, namely this Viper, which is the new Zerg Hive Tech unit in Heart of the Swarm. Now, the Viper is obviously a late game unit, being that it's at Hive Tech, and it actually is very interesting because it opens up a lot of new micro possibilities for the late game Zerg army. The Viper costs 100 minerals and 200 gas as well as 3 supply and requires Hive Tech to build in terms of tech requirements. It takes 40 seconds to build and it has 150 HP and 1 armor. It also comes with 3 abilities, and I've opened up a replay so that we can take a look at the Viper in action. I've fast forwarded to the point where Vipers become useful. Obviously, since they're a Hive Tech unit, they don't appear until quite late in the game. So we see our Zerg player Believe has a Viper out, and we're just going to unpause this replay and take a look at it, its first ability. So as we can see, this Viper right here is using the new ability Consume, which consumes 200 life from a friendly structure, okay, and generates 50 energy on the Viper over 20 seconds. So that's really useful for building up the energy of the Viper. We can see that the energy right here is going up pretty quickly, and obviously that's, you know, since there's no energy upgrade for the Viper like you'd have on the Infestor or the Ghost, they need a way to get energy quickly, and this can be a great way just by, you know, using Consume on an Extractor or a Hatchery or some high HP or you know, structure that you don't need terribly badly. It doesn't matter too much if it gets killed, you know. So that's just, you know, a strong ability in itself. Now, the Viper has 3 abilities, one of which is Consume, and the next ability it has is Blinding Cloud. Now, Blinding Cloud is an interesting ability because it really changes the way that a Zerg player can engage once they have Vipers in their army. Blinding Cloud costs 100 energy and lasts 14 seconds, and basically what it does is it reduces the range of all biological units it catches to melee range. So you can just imagine using that on a ball of Marines and reducing them to having melee range. They won't be able to do very much at all with that kind of range. And makes them a perfect target for Banelings and Zerglings and things like that. So that's really interesting because it allows the Zerg army to really force an opposing army to engage on their terms. And you can just imagine how powerful it would be to combine that with Blinding Cloud, or with Fungal. So there we see Abduct in action, just pulling those Colossi into the battle, and just immediately they're getting cut down by these roaches. And that brings us to the third ability of the Viper, which is, of course, Abduct. Abduct costs 75 energy, and basically what it does is it pulls the target right over to the Viper, and it's not hard to see how that could be useful, right? Taking your opponent's high value units like Colossi, Void Rays, Templar, Siege Tanks, things like that, and just pulling them right into the middle of your army. We're talking about units that generally attack from a range, you know, Tempests, for example. We're talking about units that your opponent wants to keep in the back dealing damage, and you're just pulling them right into the middle of your own army, and they're getting focused down in a matter of seconds. So we can really see how that changes the way that the Zerg army engages, and it forces an interesting micro battle for both sides. It means that both sides have to really try to get their opponents off guard. The non-Viper player has to try and keep his units out of range of the Viper, or focus down Vipers, or feedback them very quickly. And the Viper player has to really focus on getting those high priority targets and making sure that they get pulled into the battle as quickly as possible and focused down. So that opens up some interesting micro possibilities, and we can see that the Viper is already working its way in very well into Zerg compositions like Roach. Hydra Viper is obviously very strong. The huge damage of the Roach and the Hydra against both air and ground being augmented significantly by the addition of the Viper, which helps to counter Colossi, which is of course one of the greatest counters to Roach Hydra in traditional Wings of Liberty. So we can really see that the Viper in that respect really augments that composition, and it will probably augment many Zerg compositions, some discovered and some undiscovered. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you like the Viper and you're looking forward to using it yourself, or maybe you already have used it. feel free to browse our existing library of strategies, tips, and more, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.